What's going on everyone, this is Jay Patel and in this video we will be understanding all the major optimization techniques in deep learning. We will see what is optimization and why do we need them in the first place. And this is something that I struggled a lot when I was learning it for the first time. So I've done my best to provide you with the best possible explanation for these concepts so that you can understand it with ease. I have provided with animations, proper figures and proper writing so that you can understand this concept well. And I've also seen that it is a bit challenging to understand this concept with the content available out there. So I hope after watching this video you can understand this concept well and you do not struggle like how I did. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing because I upload new machine learning videos every week in which I provide mathematical details behind every technique and every model as well as the proper intuition behind how they work and why they work. So hit the red subscribe button, also hit the bell icon, and without further ado, let's get started with this video. Let us first understand what is optimization and why do we need them. We know that the graph of the cost versus weight parameter looks like this, and these are the weight updation and how the cost reaches to the local minima. But this is the graph when we only consider one of the weight parameter. Let's say if we have two weight parameters W and B, then the graph will look something like this where it will become a 3D surface like this. When we plot a contour of this graph, it looks like this. Contour is nothing but a 2D projection of the 3D surface, or you can say that it is the top view of this 3D surface. When we implement normal batch gradient descent, then the weight updation on this contour looks something like this, where it directly reaches straight towards the local minima. But when we implement mini batch gradient descent or stochastic gradient descent, then the weight updation is not straight, but it takes this zigzag path to reach towards the local minima. So what happens is that a lot of time get wasted by taking this zigzag path instead of this straight line. So it is wasting a lot of time by moving in the vertical direction but not directly moving straight towards the local minima. And if you haven't watched my video on mini batch gradient descent, then make sure to check that out first. I have provided you with the proper explanation of why it takes the zigzag path instead of the straight path. You can find its link by clicking on the upper I button or down in the description box. And this is where the optimization techniques help us. What optimization do is that it speed up the training of our model and make this zigzag path much more straighter. It will reduce this vertical movement and will increase the horizontal movement. And thus the final path will look something like this. We will understand three most commonly used optimization techniques in this video, and they are: first is momentum or mini batch gradient descent with momentum or stochastic gradient descent with momentum. Then we will understand RMS propagation or RMS prop, and third, which is the best technique, known as Adam optimization. But before we can understand these optimization techniques, we will need to understand a very important concept known as exponentially weighted moving average or exponential weighted average. This concept is the basis of all the optimization technique, so it is very important to understand this first. So we will understand this in this video and then we will one by one understand momentum, RMS prop and Adam. So let's first start by understanding what is exponentially weighted moving average. Consider this graph. As we move forward in time, we keep on encountering new data points. In exponential weighted moving average, the average is calculated at each step as we encounter new points. And it is calculated in such a way that we give higher weightage to the newer points while the lower weightage to the older points. For example, in this graph, at a given time step, we give higher weightage to the red colored points while the lower weightage to the faded red or the blue colored points. So the final plot becomes something like this red colored line. This will get more clearer in a while. The exponentially weighted moving average is calculated with the help of this equation, while the average at the timestamp t is calculated by multiplying this beta hyperparameter with the previous average and 1 minus of beta with that current data point. For example, if these blue points are given by the thetas, then the exponential weighted moving average of these points will be exactly this red line. And this red line will be plotted with the help of these V's. Now we consider V0 is equal to 0 and then use that to calculate the V1 by putting V0 in this equation. Then we use this V1 to calculate the V2 and then we use V2 to calculate the V3 and also considering that current data point. So the final plot considering these V's will be exactly this red line. Now you can see that this acts as an approximate average, and here I have considered the beta value as 0.9, and the value of this hyperparameter beta is always considered between 0 and 1. Now I told you that the average is calculated in such a way that the higher weightage is given to the newer points while the lower weightage is given to the older points. Let's see how it is done with the help of this equation. Consider these equations. If we want to calculate V2, we can find it by computing the value of V1 in that equation. Also V0 is 0, thus this term will be 0. This way, the value of V2 will be, and similarly V3 can be calculated by computing V2 in the equation and it will become, and similarly V4 will be given by. As you can see, as we move forward in time, the power of beta will increase for the older terms, while the power of beta for the newer data points will be lesser. Also, as you know that the value of beta is between 0 and 1, thus the beta power 3 is less than beta power 2 is less than beta power 1 is less than beta power 0. Thus, a lower weightage is given to the previous data points or the older data points, while the higher weightage is given to the newer data points. When we calculate Vt for a given time t, the equation will become something like this. Well, Vt will be multiplied with theta 0 and beta t power minus 1 will be multiplied with theta 1 and so on. This shows that the relatively lower weightage are given to the older data points while relatively higher weightage is given to the newer data points. Also, if the value of t is much higher, then the beta power t will almost approach to 0. Thus we can say that almost negligible importance is given to the older data points while the majority of the importance is given to the newer data points. And thus we saw the graph in such a way that the newer points were given higher weightage while the older points, as you can see here in this blue region, was given 0 or the negligible weightage. Now let's look at what will happen as we change this beta value. If we take higher value of beta, then the more weightage will be given to the previous average while the less weightage will be given to that current point. For example, if we take beta as 0.9, then a very high weightage is given to the average or the previous average while a very low weightage is given to that current point. Taking the 0.9 as the beta value, the graph looks something like this, which is appropriately close to the average. And if we take the value of the beta as 0.6, then considerably higher weightage will be given to that current point while a relatively lower weightage to the previous average. Considering beta as 0.6, the graph looks something like this, and you can see there is a lot of zigzagness in the graph because the higher weightage is given to the next point that it encounters while the lower weightage is given to the previous average. And when we take beta greater than 0.9, let's say 0.95, then the graph looks something like this, which is much more smoother than even this graph because now the more weightage is given to the previous average. In deep learning, most commonly the value of beta is always considered or taken as a 0.9 because it gives much better results. So this is the way the moving average is calculated. Now we will use this to implement momentum. We know that the weight updation in gradient descent is given by this equation. Now instead of this del cos by del w and del cos by del b, we will replace this with v dw and v db. Now this VDW and VDB are nothing but the exponential weighted moving average of this term and this term respectively. So for example, if we were repeating this for t iterations, then VDW for that iteration is given by beta times VDW for previous iteration plus 1 minus of beta multiplied by dW. Now this dW is nothing but del cos by del W. Similarly, VDB T is equal to beta times of VDB, and we will update VT weight at that iteration with VT minus 1 minus alpha multiplied by VDWT, and similarly BT. Here I'm writing this T just for more clarity, but overall it just represents this equation. Now, as we are taking the exponentially weighted moving average of these points, what will happen is that the average of these points in the vertical direction will be approximately close to 0 only, while the average in the horizontal direction will be higher. Thus, the net result will be mostly in the horizontal direction while very little in the vertical direction. So the overall path will look something like this, and thus this way momentum will increase or speed up the training of our model. Now we need not to implement these details from scratch, but we can use something called TensorFlow or PyTorch, which are the deep learning frameworks which can implement these optimization algorithms for us. We just need to mention their name and it will automatically implement it for us in the background. So this was about momentum. Now we will move on to our next optimization technique, which is RMS prop. And again we will start with these equations of our gradient descent. We know that the weight updation in the gradient descent is given by these two equations. Now in RMS prop, instead of this dW, what we do is that we take dW divided by square root of SdW, and similarly dB divided by square root of SdB. Here this SdW is given by the exponential weighted average of dW square, which will be equal to beta times of SdW previous plus 1 minus of beta multiplied by dW square, and similarly SdB will be equal to beta times of SdB previous plus 1 minus beta dB square. Now let's see what will happen by dividing this term with square root of SdW. Now in the mini batch gradient descent, as the steps are like this zigzag path, what is happening is that it is taking a big movement in the vertical direction while a very little movement in the horizontal direction. Let's say the vertical direction is of the direction of W and the horizontal direction is that of direction B. Here I'm assuming that W is a single parameter and not a matrix of parameters, and similarly B is a single parameter and not a matrix of the parameters. So what will happen is that as this movement in the vertical direction is higher, this dW is going to be higher, and thus the SdW is going to be higher. And as we are dividing it with the square root of SdW, which is a higher, this overall quantity is going to be lower. Thus the W is going to be updated by a smaller quantity. Thus this vertical movement will reduce. And as the movement in the B direction is smaller, this dB is going to be smaller, thus SdW is going to be smaller, and as we are dividing it with its square root, this entire quantity is going to be higher. Thus the movement in the horizontal direction is going to be higher, and thus the net movement is going to be much more straighter and much more larger towards the local minima. Thus we are going to have a faster training of our model. And as we are taking the square of dW and then taking its root, this algorithm is called root mean square propagation. Now there is one more thing to note here. It is possible that the value of the either SdW or SdB can go much smaller, and if its value is highly smaller and or very close to 0, then what will happen is that we will be dividing it with the 0, and thus this entire value will shoot up very highly, and thus we might be encountering the problem of overshooting. Thus to overcome that, what we do is that we add this term epsilon to this and this. and the value of the epsilon will be taken as 10 power minus 8. So we add this epsilon so that the entire value does not go very small, and thus we don't end up overshooting. Also, the value of this hyperparameter beta is usually taken as 0.999. So with these two so we can implement RMS prop with just these two changes, and it will speed up the training of our model. Okay, so now we saw momentum and RMS prop. Now we will combine these two techniques into one technique, and it will become our ADAM optimization. So let's start with ADAM. If you know about momentum, then you will know that the weight updation is given by this equation, where we use this VDW here, and VDW is given by this. And if you know about the RMS prop, then you will know that the weight updation is given by this equation, where SDW here is given by this. A small note here, as we take dw square here, we represent it with SDW, and when we don't take the square, we represent it with BDW. For ADAM optimizer, we combine both the momentum as well as the RMS prop into one single equation. So the weight updation in ADAM will be given by combining both the VDW of the momentum and this term from the RMS prop into one, and it will be given by VDW upon or divided by SDW plus epsilon. And similarly for B, it will be given by VDB upon SDB plus epsilon. And as we are having 2 beta here, we will be taking this as a beta 1, and we will be taking this as a beta 2. Value of the beta 1 is taken as 0.9, usually taken as 0.9, and value of the beta 2 is usually taken as 0.999. And epsilon here is same as we took it for RMS prop, which is 10 power minus 8. The full form of ADAM is adaptive moment estimation, and in short it is called ADAM. As the ADAM is found by combination of two optimization algorithms, which are momentum and RMS prop, it has the advantage of both these optimization algorithms, and thus the resultant is better than momentum or RMS prop alone. Thus, it is found out that the ADAM usually works better than momentum and RMS prop, and thus it is almost the best known optimization algorithm known till now. This way, by using ADAM, we can get rid of that zigzag path, and the resultant path will be much more straighter. Thus, this way, by using ADAM, we can greatly reduce the time taken to train our model, and thus the training will be much more faster. Also, we need not worry about implementing these from scratch, but we can use a programming framework like TensorFlow or PyTorch, and in that we just have to mention that we are using ADAM, and we will need to pass the value of the hyperparameters beta 1 and beta 2, and it will automatically implement it for us in the background. So this was about ADAM. If you found this video helpful, then please hit the like button and also share it among your friends so that they can also be benefited from this. I am making an entire course on deep learning and machine learning, so continue watching my video if you want to learn machine learning. So subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any update when I upload my next video. And I will see you again with another such machine learning or deep learning video.